Yes. Bet. I'm sorry. I'm spacing. I'm paying attention to something else. No, I was just paying attention to something else. It's my fault. Say again what you were gonna say. Hey, if it works, it works. There's no shame. Yeah. Then just plug it in. Like a problem with your charging cable, most likely. Hmm. I'm already home. Yes, I'm aware. You said you were trying to pull in, um, what? How? Let me guess, your stream statistics were so many ways better when you did the furry tag. We're not being recorded right now, right? It, uh, very funny. Very, very funny. I hear music. Oh, yep, I hear my So Monkey Ball, who was it with? Now I'm curious. Who are the other?
You wouldn't know them. I usually just ask around the internet and see, hey, are you interested in this? And they'd be like, bitchin', let's do it. The only like contender is that it couldn't be anybody I know. Or who knew me.
No, so you're breaking your first rule.
Oh, you think you know me?
I know you pretty well.
Oh yeah?
Listen.
Think of something that only I would know.
About me?
About me, that you would know about me.
I mean, I'm not supposed to be doxing you on stream, so.
Don't say like my address. My fucking.
I'm gonna keep it pretty limited.
Oh my lord.
I've been with you for like almost 2 years, so like I've got a pretty good idea of stuff.
Okay, like I bet Jack the Ripper probably had roommates, don't you think? Yeah. Or the Zodiac Killer.
I doubt Jack the Ripper had roommates because you see the fundamental conditions of London at those times, because it was London.
Oh fuck, I forgot I'm talking to a psychology major.
Yeah, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up.
Well, actually, if you think about the Victorian era...
And that, technically what I'm talking isn't psychology, it's history.
There's a history... It has a historical context, but you're still trying to get in the mind of a serial killer. Don't try to push this off.
I am not trying to get in the mind of the serial killer at all. I was saying historically, I don't think having roommates was a thing back then. Unless it was your fucking family. In which case, yeah, you probably had all those little shits all living with you.
What if you were dirt poor, though?
If you were dirt poor, you were living with your fucking family. That's what I'm talking about.
The family... friends are just the family you choose, right?
Not back then they weren't.
Not back then they weren't. Yeah.
There were exceptions to the rule, but not generally.
Not generally. Okay.
All right. So
what was this? Yeah, well, I was going to say. No, I was just going to say, what was this like tweet or something that you saw that you were going to tell me about?
I saw someone. Everyone knows the whole Will Smith drama.
Well, of course. Right? Yeah, you're not allowed to not.
Shit out of Chris Rock. And someone made a tweet and they were like, I know Will Smith slapped someone, but I'm genuinely shocked at how quickly Hollywood is moving to end his career right now. I'm putting his movies on pause. I think that's a bit much when many abusers get away with worse and can get to still have their careers. Like, I don't get how this person tweeted this, got over 300,000 likes for it, and they and none of the people who liked the tweet managed to see the connection between the first part, like, she talks about how Will Smith slapped someone, and then she's like, oh my god. I think that's a bit much when so many abusers, like, ignoring the fact this dude literally assaulted someone in public.
Right.
I don't get it. I was just laughing about it.
Oh, God, what did I see? I've seen people roast the shit out of Will Smith for it. Not to mention, he was asked to resign from the Academy. So, like, he's getting, like, retribution for it. It's not like he's just getting away with it because it was, there was no drama, right? Or just because it was all drama, but...
The Academy doesn't really do much. He can still win awards and everything. It's just like he doesn't have that high-end social status. It's
right.
A PR move. It doesn't actually do anything.
I was going to say, just being Will Smith should have some sort of, weight to it.
Yeah. Have you seen those August memes?
I have seen. What was the one I saw? Yeah. Somebody was saying that the first thing that Chris Rock should have said was, if this is how angry he gets in March, he should wait till August or something like that. Or he should see August. Like, Chris Rock would be dead.
Yeah, I saw one on TikTok, and it was someone took the clip of him. It's the clip where he yells, keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth, and they rearranged the words and so then you can hear him screaming in this new TikTok clip. You can hear them screaming, keep fucking my wife's mouth.
Yeah, hold on. Now that makes me want to, because I saw one, the worst one I saw, it didn't even have a picture with it. It just said, man, Will Smith is a better man than me. No way I'd stick up for another man's girl like that. I remember seeing that one, and it was so... Oh my god, it was so bad.
That J. Cole song about that Will and Jada love just don't hit the same anymore. Now it's like, ooh, I gotta turn the song down real low when I hear that bit.
Here, I'm gonna put this on the stream really quick. Hold on, if it. Here we go. Okay, zoom in on it a bit. Yeah, like this is literally the first thing that comes up. Because your wife has no hair. Like, I feel bad. People point out that he was laughing at the joke until he looked at his wife, and then like his tune changed completely.
Immediately, yeah, you can literally like see him like laughing, and then if you go from another angle, you can see her giving him the fucking death glare, and like that's
Right.
when his face changes. That is not a healthy relationship
Yeah.
at all. Open relationship. I've never seen a positive open relationship. I don't know. Maybe they exist. But,
They do.
like,
It definitely exists. I've seen some positive open relationships. It's just that, like,
how long did they last?
I don't know. I mean, the thing is, like, the way I always looked at it is, like, if you're in like a polyamorous relationship and you're beefing with somebody in the relationship, do you have to vote that someone out like fucking Total Drama Island or something? Like, how does that work?
People go with whoever they like fucking more, or whatever. It depends on your own human personal reason. I don't know. I don't have any positive experiences with it. The one time I've ever been approached for something like that, it was my first ex. She was absolutely crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And basically the way she did it was an ultimatum. And she was like, okay,
Right.
Are you interested in an open relationship? I was like, no. And she's like, you're not even going to talk about it? And I was like, no. And she's like, and then she proceeded to attempt to guilt trip me into it. And she was like,
oh, yeah.
Oh, well, it could either be an open relationship, be happy. I could cheat on you and feel terrible about it. Or I could repress all my urges and stay with you. And I was like, you do you, but I'm not consenting to an open relationship here. Like,
yeah.
It's not happening.
Yeah, if you don't want to be a part of an open relationship, I mean, if you can make it work, sure. If one of the things that's missing from your relationship is like something sexual that you just can't get out of like another person, or if like and you can make it work, then sure. I just don't know how that happens.
Yeah.
Right.
I feel like I'm healthily possessive, and that's that sounds like a double on. It sounds like two things that don't work, but like I feel like for most people it's normal to like, to a certain extent, like there's certain things of your partner that you don't want to share with others, and that's one of those things. But I know of people who also do open relationships, and they don't. I don't personally know anyone, let's just say, but I've heard of people who do it, and they're not doing it primarily for the sexual aspect. Like, they're doing it for the relational bit, which sounds absolutely fucking exhausting to me personally. But, they
yeah, I don't know. I mean, just relationships, regular, like, relationships in general are just super stressful sometimes.
Tell me about it. Like, those guys who got, like, multiple girls in their phone, and they're, like, fucking several girls at the same time. I don't know how they do that. Like, there was one point where I had like 3 different girls on my phone that I was all attending to, and I wasn't in a relationship at the time, and like it was very clear to all of these girls that like none of them were in a relationship, and they were all just looking for fun as well. But like that shit was fucking exhausting. Now take that, transfer it into a relationship where now it's not just you're playfully texting each other and flirting. It's now, you gotta like sex them in order to turn them on. You gotta tell them how beautiful they are. You have to talk about day-to-day life stuff, like, okay, here's what we have planned for today. Here's the date for this weekend. Oh, how was your test? Oh, how was your day at work today? Oh, XYZ happened. I'm so sorry about that, but ABC is coming up, so it'll work out fine. Imagine doing that with 2 people. Or even 3, God forbid.
That's what I definitely agree with that.
I'm breaking up with all of you.
Like, I know quite a few people, you can even see them on dating apps, or you can see them in certain instances where it's like, hey, we're in a relationship together. Me and this person live together. We're on each other's tasks, whatever. We might have kids together, whatnot, but we're both totally okay with like going out and finding other like sexual partners and that sort of thing, or getting them involved together, for example. But when it comes to like, I need to treat both of these people like a couple, right? that is when things would really, really seem to.
Yeah.
Because like sex doesn't have to be a relationship thing. It can just be a recreational thing. But that's not how it is for actual relationships. Relationships always have that baggage that comes with it.
Yes.
And so,
Exactly.
yeah, it's one way but not the other. And so when people say that they have like polyamories, that's what I just don't understand. Like, how do you have a lot of time on your hand? Are you like emotionally a super soldier or something?
Do you only work part-time and have no school and absolutely nothing, and you were like, fuck it, I'm going to take up all this extra time in my week and get into a relationship with another person as if I wasn't already busy enough with the first? Because don't get me wrong, I love my girlfriend to death. I wouldn't change anything about it, but I 100% know for a fact that I was so much less busy when I was single.
Yeah.
That's just the fact of it.
Mm-hmm. Not to
I don't care
mention,
about that. I'm happy with the way things are.
doing dynamic things also usually cost money. So,
Exactly, yeah. It is so much cheaper to just stay at home, do things when you want to do them, text the boys occasionally. That's 10 times cheaper.
text the boys
Really well said.
occasionally. I think the context of that almost sounds like you're having a Ram Ranch-esque
Jesus
get
Christ.
together. Yeah, why have a girlfriend when I can just call 10 of the boys over?
Oh, yeah. PG-13, my ass.
PG-13. Look.
It's R-rated.
Okay. I most of the time it's somebody I don't even know. And mostly it's the shit I don't want people talking about is like in-depth, like very grotesque things. And so that's just kind of like a word of thumb. Sorry, word of thumb.
Man,
What the fuck?
I'm just saying, if the American Movie Association was watching this, they give us an R rating.
Yeah.
That's actually really fascinating. That whole backstory. I'm trying to recall it right now. So basically, the motion picture what is it called again? It's the MPAA.
Yeah.
What's that stand for? Hold up. MPAA
Motion Picture Something Association.
Association. It's the Motion Picture Association. It's American.
American Association, something like that, yeah.
It's actually really interesting. The backstory behind it, the original history. Because originally it was started, and it wasn't like an official government thing. It was basically Hollywood saying, okay, we'll do this. Please don't, dick us down, because they were starting to get into inappropriate stuff as far as movies. So it was basically self-censorship. They didn't
Right.
want, negative publicity for studios, stuff like that. It was self-regulation.
Right. When it went from being more of a novelty technology to something that's actually representative of art. The same thing happened with video games too, right? Like
Yeah.
in the early 90s when games like Mortal Kombat and Night Trap was a big one too. When people said, "Hey, these aren't like toys for kids anymore. This is more like an actual media that can like influence." And like Doom was coming out later in the next year, and so that's when the ESRB was established.
God, the video game scare. That was just some terrible fucking
Oh
bullshit
yeah. It's
on so many levels.
people thought that adding a layer of interactivity was going to turn their kids into psychopaths.
I'm so glad that, like, 10 years later in my life, actually now it's more like 12, 14 later, is like video games are like a normalized activity that like adults can do. Like, it's not like, oh, Rebecca's husband goes home every day and plays video games. Now it's like, damn right he fucking does. That's a hobby. Before it used to be like, oh,
Yeah.
he goes home and plays video games. What a fucking loser.
Yeah, but that goes for a lot of things
As opposed
too.
to sitting down on your couch and like watching fucking sitcoms until it's time to go to bed.
Well, when I was a kid, if you were into like comic books and Marvel and shit, you were a nerd, you were a geek. But nowadays, it's like if you go on Tinder, all the most basic, like
Yeah,
women just have a Marvel fan. I'll talk like there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying it's kind of interesting how that's kind of turned and how being the nerd is now being cool.
Yeah, same thing happened with anime. Remember how that used to not be
Anime
mainstream,
still
and
has
now,
a
like,
stigma though.
a very tiny bit, but like I'm seeing like all the time on Twitter now, like, ooh, XYZ celebrity has an anime tattoo. Ooh, such and such a celebrity, said something about anime. Like it's
Yeah, it's gotten more mainstream, but it wasn't just
Getting
because
mainstream
it
to a
wasn't
point.
popular. It was also because it caught it
Sexualization.
well sexual. I mean, yeah, that's where it comes into the stigma, but not like immediately. Besides like cultural grounds that needed to be kind of like passed for a lot of people, it was like you would have to get the rights to these. You would have to export them, and they would be physical media because of the time period, and you would have to retranslate them, which costs a lot of money.
Yeah.
Like with most people that I talk to our age who started watching anime, it was because like Fox Kids or something would import these anime and would dub them in English and would play them in like morning slots of like Saturday cartoons, right? That's how
Yeah.
a lot of us got into Dragon Ball. That's how a lot of I got into Dragon Ball the games. But that's how a lot of us got into One Piece. That's how I got into they were playing Sonic X. Yu-Gi-Oh was one that they got the rights to. I never watched Yu-Gi-Oh, but Pokemon.
I originally got into it because some friends at my church were talking about it, and we had Netflix at the time. We had a Roku box, and so I was like, okay, I'll try, I'll look at some stuff and I'll try something out. I think the first show, God, what was the first show I tried? I know Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood was one of the very first.
Mm-hmm.
But I think unfortunately Sword Art Online might have been in there too.
Ooh. See, the funny thing for me is that as a kid, there's no stigma because we couldn't differentiate between what was an anime and what was just a regular cartoon, right? Like, I'm going to watch SpongeBob, and then as soon as SpongeBob's over, I flip it to Cartoon Network and I'm watching Pokemon. Like, I have no idea that that comes from Japan,
Yeah.
right? And it's like, it's not until you're older anyway, and by then the stigma's gone because you've grown up with it.
Different experiences for different people. When I was a freshman in high school, which is 8 years ago now, God, I feel fucking old. Um, like,
Yeah, that was
dude,
8 years
like you
ago,
did not openly talk about watching anime. Like people, there was like a group of people, and like if you weren't in that group of people, like it was like you were outside the protection of the weebs on the football team, and you were gonna get people, saying all types of shit about you because you watched anime. So you had to be under the protection of these football teams.
I see. That's the thing is that I don't know if that was 100% true. Though I always stick to the mantra that people don't think you're weird because you watch anime. People think you're weird because you Naruto sprint through the hallways between classes. That's the way I always
I
looked at
didn't
it.
do any of that. I didn't do any of
No,
that.
but we knew
And
people who
neither
did, and so that created like the stigma for a while. It's like anime. A lot of people like who are into anime are really weird. There's no getting around that.
Yeah.
And people like to look at the extremes on anything, and so that's just what you associate with. That's why like even though there's nothing wrong with watching anime and it's enjoyable and people don't care, I don't recommend people to watch a lot of them just because to me it's like the DC universe where it's like Marvel anyone can get into and watch. You can take your girlfriend on a date, but with DC it feels like you have to have all this background knowledge and it's not something you can just sit and turn your brain off. They really they force you to have to like think about things, otherwise you just aren't going to have fun with it and that sort of thing, right? So it's less accessible. I don't know if that's a hot take or not. Hello? You there, Gabe? What has happened? God, that was such a hard take that Gabe couldn't take it anymore. Hold on, did he? Oh, there
My
you are.
fucking computer had a meltdown and he's just like, fuck this, so I'm out. So anyways, where we left off, you were talking about anime.
Yeah, I was saying that how
back in high school, the weird kids and the cool
okay.
kids.
So I was going on a rant how it's like anime is like DC, where it's like if you go, you can take your girlfriend to see a Marvel movie, right? And if you have never seen one before and you just go into one, it's like yeah, there's a lot of continuity, but you can just get in and watch all the fireworks. But DC takes itself so seriously, for example, that that you have to know the background and you have to like pay attention. You can't just turn your brain off, right? And it's both are valid, but it's like it's less accessible to get into something like DC, and that's how I feel with anime. It's like if you just go into this and expect to just have like a TV show, make you laugh or make you think or whatever, you're gonna have to rewire your mind a little bit.
I feel like DC is like not as pick upable and requires like paying more attention because it never like they've tried to do a DCU just like Marvel has an MCU and it just simply hasn't taken off like Marvel has like.
No, it hasn't.
And
I think there are a couple reasons.
Yeah, I mean feel free to list them.
Oh well, first one, if I'm going off on a tangent about this, is Marvel was first to the
is one very long tangent.
right. Is that Marvel was first to it, right? Like Man of Steel came out in like 2012, right? And Iron Man came out in 2008.
Yes.
Another thing is that like Marvel kind of had a thing going where they had an idea and they applied it to a movie and they said, okay, this was good, but this is how we can improve it. And they just kept doing it until they had a formula, right?
Yeah.
Like you can tell that a lot of Marvel movies kind of blend together and kind of their structure, right? It works, but like it blends together. With DC, it's like, okay, we have something here. Because I think Iron Man, the first one in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and Man of Steel are both sitting at like roughly the same Rotten Tomatoes score, for example.
Yes.
And instead of saying, let's like improve upon this and do it again, they're like, okay, let's come from an entirely different angle. And then when that worked or didn't work, the next movie's like, okay, we're going to reinvent the wheel again.
Instead of trying to persistently.
Right, because that's why I feel like it's like some movies are okay and then they're great and then they suck ass and then like they're back to being okay again. It's because they can't like find a formula.
The only DC movie I've watched that I was really like, oh wow, that's good, was Suicide Squad. And besides that, I feel like personally, like none of them have made me go, oh wow, that's good.
Are you talking about the new Suicide Squad or the original?
Hold up, there's two?
There's Suicide Squad and then there's The Suicide Squad, I'm pretty sure.
I saw the one with the giant... I hope I'm not spoiling.
I've never seen it, so I wouldn't even know anyway.
The one with the giant starfish, that's the only one I've seen.
I wouldn't know.
I don't know if that's the new one or the original,
right.
But that was the one I watched. I have missed the one that had Darkseid in it. So
Darkseid? I think that was Justice League, wasn't it? Yes, I thought it was Darkseid too, and then I was so disappointed when I found out he was called Darkseid. Because that just sounds so cheesy. I know Darkseid was a character before, like, Star Wars, I'm sure, but, like...
One thing that was really good that I know that DC put out, all their stuff with, like, the Justice League, the animated shows they had...
Oh, those were great.
Dude, those were fucking amazing.
Yeah, I watched those as a kid. I mean, when they were on. It felt like they weren't on in a time slot I was always available, but...
I don't know. I just feel like DC has so much they can work with, especially, like, for example, Superman going rogue. Like, no one has really... none of the DC movies have really tried to explore that. Because it's such an interesting concept. So we have, like, other media trying to explore that. Like, for example, Invincible, it's not... I guess I'm kind of doing a disservice to the writer here. But Invincible, which was an Amazon original, came out. It's a animated but very adult show.
Mm-hmm.
Focuses on this guy who's a hero plus, a Justice League knockoff. And anyways, there's this central Superman-esque figure, and the show basically explores the concept of, okay, what if this Superman-esque figure was evil, and he wipes out the entire Justice League? Like, okay, who's going to stop him now? And then, another show that I can think of that does something similar, The Boys from Amazon, also a very good show, kind of focuses on a slightly different angle of, okay, superheroes are corporatized.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the ones at the top are shitty people. Like, they're so detached from us because, like, of, like, the power they have. And it gets... pretty deep into that. It's a pretty good show, but like that's all stuff that the DC universe could explore.
Mm-hmm.
That people have a legitimate appetite. Jesus Christ, appetite
for.
See. And like DC's never looked at it, but like I know people have an appetite for it because The Boys was renewed for a season 2. It was a huge success. Invincible was renewed for a season 2. It was also a very big success. I saw a lot of stuff on social media about both of those shows. They both got decent exposure, good reviews from the critics.
Gotcha.
It's not like people don't want to see DC explore.
People just want to. I mean, that's true. It's just they have to do it. When you're taking it more seriously, like with DC compared to Marvel. Like Marvel's, the fun, go to movie thing. DC treats it more as an art than entertainment, and when you do that, you have to be more careful about some of the things that you're putting into it and how to make them work effectively. What I think they should do personally, and what would get me to go see like every DC movie, is if they tried to cinemize the Injustice storyline.
Okay, so like I'm a little bit familiar with Injustice through the video game, but you're gonna have to like break
It's
this down for
very
me.
similar. The comics and the game are follow each other very similar. It's just Joker tricks Superman into killing his wife and unborn son, and so Superman gets pissed, kills the Joker, and then establishes basically a fascist world government. And he's being opposed by like Batman and the Flash and that sort of thing.
Okay.
And
Uh,
the big thing about it is that like on one hand it's like, yeah, you know, good guy versus good guy, but they both obviously like still care for each other. They both still respect each other, but their ideologies have grown so far apart that it becomes like tragic in a way.
yes.
Right. And in the second Injustice, I don't want to spoil anything, but there's not really a lot to spoil. Too many people in right now. Oh, I guess there's people now, but the big thing is that amidst their own fighting, another threat comes up, and they have to like put their differences aside for a while, where they reminisce about how it's been so long since they teamed up, you know, and how it reminds them of old times. And then, right as that immediate threat is out of the way, they have to go back to like
Beating the shit out of each
beating
other.
the shit out of each other. Yeah.
Was it Dark Side or Apocalypse?
In the second game where they had to do it, it was Brainiac actually.
Brainiac. Okay. So yeah, I remember a little bit from watching the Justice League and those other shows.
Yeah.
That's really the shame. Is like Marvel didn't have too many good TV animated shows. DC was fantastic. Like the only good show I can think of, that was a Marvel animated show was the X-Men one with the that focused on the kids when they were still going to high school.
I think that was a little too old for us, though. I feel like that was like 90s. In fact, wait, I think they're actually bringing that back. They're calling it like X-Men 1990s or something.
Maybe I don't. You gotta remember, dude. I was born in 2000, so I don't
Me
know if
too.
that's too
Yeah.
old for me. Like I watched. I was in the era where like I didn't watch this stuff on cable TV. I watched this stuff on Netflix.
Okay, yeah. See, everything I watched, whether it was like cartoons or anime or whatever, it was always on VHS as a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot you got your evangelical like Christian household edutainment. Did you ever watch 321 Penguins?
No, I did not. I don't even know.
Veggie Tales?
Yes, I did.
I'm
watch
trying to think of
VeggieTales.
like PBS-esque like Christian cartoon media. I just remember VeggieTales was just the
VeggieTales.
yeah.
God, let's see.
Yeah, God was there.
There was the one with the furry bear. What was his
Oh,
name?
the Lion's Den, or no, Bear in the Big Blue House.
Yes, Bear in the Big
Yes,
Blue
I remember
House
that
was
one too.
Hold up. There were others. There was another one with a bear. They really love their bears.
Yeah, people like bear characters. I guess bears were just considered cuddly back then.
Uh, Green Bear Christian show. Hold up, let me.
Agree. You're just gonna look up Green here. I'll do it too. Hold on. Let's see here.
Boz, God's Green Earth. Boz.
Oh, you got it
Boz
already.
the bear.
Never heard of that one. That is the first one I haven't heard of.
That was one.
I remember watching
one of it.
Crash Box.
Crash Box. What is that?
It was an edutainment thing, but me and my sister were like really enthralled with it. Like it was the only like actually like blatantly edutainment type like you know TV show for kids that we actually enjoyed.
Yeah.
Without thinking, oh yeah, they're obviously trying to teach us something. They made it fun. It was like all claymation and such. Because those kind of shows got really, really low budgets.
God, now you're making me think of Bob the Builder.
Bob the Builder, yeah, I remember Bob.
An icon broke, but we'll just continue.
I do see that, yeah, but I'm trying to think. I think that was because.
It was because my.
No,
Discord
I see.
crashed.
No, it's because I switched the. There it is. I switched the. Scene in Discord. I switched tabs.
Ah.
There we go. Now it's back. What was I gonna say? Yeah, those are fun. But Crashbox was like on demand with it was the only like free thing you could get on demand with Cox, and so we just thought it was crazy. Like, wow, we can go up to our TV and use a remote to pick whatever TV show we want and just watch it right whenever we want. That was like a new idea back then.
Yeah.
It was before like Netflix. I think it was just when Netflix was starting, right?
Sounds about right, yeah. Oh, yeah. And then there was like Redbox, there was Blockbuster. Oh my
Yeah,
god. And there were other ones
I
too.
remember Blockbuster. We would go every once in a while, and we also had I don't know, down in Bellevue, Hollywood Video.
Yeah. It's all coming back. It's all coming back. And then my parents would order those little DVDs from Netflix, and we'd order them months in advance. We'd get them in the mail, and then we'd watch them, and then we'd keep them for a certain amount of time. But then we had to return them before a certain amount of time was up. Otherwise, we get oh god.
Oh yeah,
man.
the late fees on those used to be egregious, and they didn't start letting up on those until like they were in competition with like Netflix and such.
Yeah. I'm actually thinking of the late fees for Netflix right now, which weren't too bad, but those were still a factor. God, Blockbuster. It's gonna be so weird telling our kids, oh yeah, back when I was a really young kid, Netflix wasn't a big business. They
Right.
didn't make their own movies. They sold DVDs of movies made by other people. Or
It's
didn't even sell them. They rented them.
it's crazy to think, but Netflix goes so far back, even for its like streaming service, that in certain European countries, you could actually get online support for streaming video using a PS2.
How the fuck does that work?
You had to have the PS2's modem extension so that you could like connect, for like online gaming and whatnot.
Yeah.
And then you would have to buy the Netflix disc, and then you would have to put it in the PlayStation, and then you would have to connect to the internet, and it would have stuff. I guarantee you, it does not work anymore, obviously, because it's been so long, and it's definitely not supported. But I just remember I would watch it on my 3DS. I'd watch it on the Wii, right? Netflix for the Wii.
Netflix for the Wii makes me think of that fucking meme, like about how you. Oh god, I sound so fucking. This conversation is bouncing all over the place, but
That's yeah. I was about to say we're just talking, but
I'm just thinking about the Samsung. Have you ever seen those Samsung fridge memes?
I don't think so. No.
So like, you can play Doom 64. You can play
Oh
Doom
yeah.
on your Samsung fridge, or sent text from my Samsung fridge.
Yeah, I've seen that. Okay, I know what you're talking about now.
Watching Netflix on my Samsung fridge.
Right. That I just remember one of the coolest things we ever did as a kid. We did this several times. Is we were pretty broke growing up, so we had a bunch of hand-me-downs from my uncle. So we had a PS1, and when we had the PS1, they were still doing the sponsorships through like Pizza Hut and shit, where you would get a demo disc.
Yes.
And so we would like get a Pizza Hut pizza, and we would have a demo disc. We would just get our buddies over or something. It was usually my brother's buddies that did this, but I would be there too. And we would just play the fuck out of all these demos, like multiplayer demos and stuff, like Tony Hawk, Crash Team Racing. Like, and that was just the shit. Like demo discs, I wish that was still a thing, but it just wouldn't make sense anymore.
It's bringing back my memories. So when I was a kid, I didn't really have the money for gaming, and then my parents basically told me like, okay, if you want any of that, you're gonna have to pay the money for yourself. We're not gonna pay for it, which is an interesting conversation for another time. Anyways, so what experience I did get from gaming, was a very interesting combination of playing old games that were ported to iOS, the iOS Apple Store, so like stuff like the Marathon FPS games, which were a very cool little shooter from the late 1990s.
Right.
Kind of imagine Doom, but
I've definitely heard of Marathon.
Much better story.
I think you've even brought it up before.
It was made by Bungie, yeah. And then Half-Life and Halo on the PC were the other two games that I had experiences.
I never had either of those games. Half-Life,
Half-Life. Tell me you played Half-Life.
I have Half-Life on my Steam account, and I've played a bit of it, but I never finished it.
You need to finish it. That is the progenitor. OG.
I know it is. I know a lot about the history.
Besides Halo and Doom, It is Half-Life.
Yes, trust me, I am more than aware of the history of Half-Life. I know a lot about like its development. I know a lot about its like uh, cutting room floor type stuff, but I've never actually finished the game. Is all I'm saying.
All right. Fair enough. If you're not gonna finish the OG game, at least play the remake, Black
Oh,
Mesa,
Black
because I
Mesa.
am going to.
I
Yes.
will play the original Half-Life. Right, maybe I'll do it for a stream or something. But I'm not going to spend money on Black Mesa
Why not?
because I have Half-Life and I haven't finished it. I also have Half-Life 2. I can play that too.
Oh God, yeah. Be prepared for disappointment. Not in a bad way. It's really good. Half-Life 2 is
Half-Life 2 is like
it's
what people call it the best game ever.
yes, it is the best game ever. That's not the problem. The problem is fucking Valve is allergic to the number fucking 3.
That's true.
Unless it's Counter-Strike. No shit, even with Counter-Strike, they've never used a 1, 2, 3 or any of that. It's always been Counter-Strike. Counter-Strike Source. Counter-Strike Condition.
Condition Zero is a completely different spin-off though. I have it and it's awful.
Anyway, like you get my point.
Right.
They cannot use the number 3 to save their life. Either they never fucking release that game, or they
Hey, they released Half-Life Alyx, but that's a prequel.
or they don't. Oh God, don't even get me started on that. They can release Half-Life Alyx, but they can't release a simple.
To me, it wouldn't be a big deal. It wouldn't be a big deal if they didn't leave Half-Life 2 on a cliffhanger.
Yes. I spent my childhood every single E3. Oh, I have such fond memories of every single E3. Anyways, before I get distracted on that tangent,
I was going to go back, but
that's a whole conversation.
Gotcha. I was going to go back. You said you know, like your first, like you would get free things off of iOS, right?
Yes.
That's kind of a recent thing. When I was like, because I started gaming when I was younger anyway.
Yeah.
Our saving grace throughout most of my life, from the time I was probably 5 years old until at least like 11, was Flash.
Oh yeah, the Flash players.
Flash games that were developed with Flash, and that's why I was so sad like just over a year ago when they discontinued it. Obviously, you know, it's archaic. HTML5 does everything better, and it's more like integrated with web browsers, but Flash was just like everybody could make something that had any sort of like programming skill or anything like that. And so there's always all of these things different. People were making Mario games, people were making these crazy ideas. A lot of like huge indie games that came out over the past decade or so were originally like Flash games, and there were all these crazy things, and I just have so many memories with like going to them on our school computers when we had time and just playing them. And
So go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, when I was first doing like tests in like January for like starting this whole stream, I would stream Flash games using a Flash emulator just because you know, I wanted to play them again while I was like figuring it out, and it's just like it's hard to appreciate if you didn't live with it. It was a different part of internet culture, a different part of like technology.
And see now, like the ability to make your own basic games has really been like given to people. Like we don't have advanced game making tools, but stuff like I have. You're aware of like Wormio and those games, right?
Right.
Yes. Well, the platform they go through is itch, and it has all different types of games on. It has FPS games, horror games, all these different types of games. Roblox is another one.
Roblox I played the shit out of. That's where I got my programming start.
Like a whole platform for like people to like make all sorts of their own different games. Like Flash games are, as a concept, like I sound like an asshole for saying this, but they're kind of outdated.
Oh no, they're 100% outdated. Like, I mean, technology wise. But the thing is, there was more freedom with it. It was, people always mentioned that it was art first before it was like development or anything like that. Because people didn't just make Flash games; they made Flash animation. Because it worked. It was integrated well with like early internet things. It's not so much the technology or what it was capable of, but more of the time frame, right? Like, think about before people were calling them memes, even, right? Just the way internet culture was developing, like very early on but Flash existed before YouTube, for example. And so it was just a wasteland of, I shouldn't say wasteland, but it was just it was the Wild West. Anything went and anything could be interesting. Anything was like taken care of. Nowadays, that's not the case because it's more corporate and we have a more established ecosystem of the internet, right? It's more accessible to everybody and not just people who wanted to have a computer.
Yeah, the internet in the last 5 to 6 years has become so much more regulated than it used to be, and it's actually
Yeah.
it's another weird thing that we're gonna have to explain to our kids. Like, yeah, when we were a kid, you could do X, Y, Z, A, B, C, and they're gonna be like, "What? There weren't any rules. There wasn't anything stopping you." And we were like, "Yeah, no, because the internet was basically, and it still kind of is relative to other stuff, like basically, like the fucking Wild West."
Right.
And
Um,
it's getting tapped down on a lot, but I guarantee if we looked down the road 10, 15 years from now, maybe 20, it's going to be like a whole different fucking ball game.
right. Well, here's the thing, right? Is that when YouTube first came out, it had a lot of competition. There was like stupid videos, there's albino, black sheep, videos.com, all of these different things, and YouTube. People weren't getting paid to do YouTube, right? You were just putting videos out there. There's no ads being run or anything like that.
It was fucking funny.
Right, and then around 2013, I want to say, it might have been a little earlier. That's when Google picked it up and tried integrating Google Plus, and that's when people started becoming professional YouTubers and making money off of ad revenue and the whatnot. And once that became the primary means of getting people in, it became more mainstream, right? And it was rapidly growing. In 2011, I think, was when the first person ever hit 1 million views on a single video. And now, people are regularly hitting 1 billion with no effort, it feels like. Like it was a much different ecosystem. Yes. And once it kept getting bigger and bigger and it was being monetized differently, it just became a different beast. And that's just how, the technology works. You can't go back to old YouTube, although you can still watch the old YouTube videos, which I do from time to time.
And I know that they have people trying to monetize them now and turn them into fucking God. What's the new? They have people trying. Charlie bit me. The people that made that tried to turn it into
an NFT. I saw that. Yeah,
it was
so lame.
Sad. I don't know. It's just.
I think it's time for YouTube to lose its monopoly.
It's been on time video for like 3 or 4 years now. I wish Pornhub would come out and make a competitor.
U-Hub or something like that. Yeah, I mean, it's just really hard because of how much of a grasp YouTube has on the market, right? With all of its code, all of its connections, networking, and how many people already know about it. It would be really hard to get like a real competitor.
Yeah, YouTube at this point is like the amount of ads that are on it. Anytime I spend time on it, and I watch multiple videos, I'm like, this amount of ads is fucking excessive.
I'm one of the schmucks who bit the bullet and bought premium.
Why would you do that?
I think I bought it 2.5 years ago, and it was during election season, and so I was just getting a lot of political ads I was tired of seeing, and so I just bought it, and then I thought, wow, this is actually way better. I don't want to lose this anymore. Could have just gotten an ad blocker, but that was when YouTube Red was starting, and I wanted to see some of like the Game Grumps show and that sort of thing. Do they even still like do that anymore? Because I don't see a lot about it.
Googling it.
The YouTube they stopped calling it YouTube Red and they called it just like YouTube Premium, right? They changed the name. They confused a lot of people.
YouTube Premium now.
Yeah, but I'm saying about the exclusive shows.
Yeah, YouTube Red is YouTube Premium now. I'm pretty sure because I just.
I know, because it says Premium when I open up. Like I have it right here, opening up, and then if I try to find like a YouTube Premium show on my feed. Like
$99 a month.
Yeah, it's expensive, but I spend a lot of time. This is where I get all of my entertainment. I don't spend a lot of time on like Netflix or anything like that.
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like YouTube is gonna go the way of fucking cable because the whole reason a lot of people stop with cable is because 1, the price. 2, the ads.
Right.
And 3, just the fucking hassle of it all. But like the ads and the price were the 2 biggest things. And I don't know, dude, for me, fucking watching shit, paying $11.99 to not have fucking ads just sounds fucking ridiculous to me. Like, man, I turn on my fucking ad blocker and I have absolutely zero shame about it. Like,
yeah, I wouldn't have shame. It's just, I don't know. I feel like if I have an ad blocker and I'm using it for all my stuff, I'm not supporting my my favorite, streamers or two. Right.
I'm a terrible person. I don't
Right.
care.
The incentive for making videos has changed, and the technology has with it. It's just that's natural. You can't go back to the past, but I really wish it didn't have to become so monetized. Like it didn't have to become so corporate, I should say. Like it felt so much more fun to browse the internet when it felt like a pocket in the world. Like if you went to a website that only a handful of people might have seen, or conversation, it felt like the internet belonged to the nerds, really. Right? Everyone was figuring it and building it out for ourselves. But once that became apparent that you could like market that, like when Facebook came out, right? And then the huge casual audience of social media started to erupt. That's when things started to become. It spoiled it. It spoiled the fun. It's like a secret that only you were in on.
I don't know if it necessarily spoiled the fun. The internet is still
It
fun
still
because
is.
now you have the people who are like barely fucking internet literate and they're doing all types of dumb shit, and it's so fucking funny to see someone
Yeah.
just absolutely ruin their career who's an asshole.
Mm-hmm.
But or like the Karens online, the 50-year-old Karens who are barely internet literate, or like the I don't know. I think it brings
Well,
funniness
I
to
think
it.
a lot of it was, I mean, there were viral videos and whatnot, but a lot of it didn't feel like it was for clout. If people were being edgy, they were trying to be edgy because it was part of their art, not because they were trying to get
Yeah.
retweets or something, right? And like I said, YouTube originally didn't have monetization. It wasn't huge. The only people that were on it were like film enthusiasts, and so people just went on and started doing things, right? Like Smosh, like when they made a career out of it and it changed them, but they started just by lip syncing the theme to the Pokemon anime. Right, and that was their first video they posted on it. They weren't trying to make a career out of it. They were just trying to like have fun, right?
Yeah. Do you remember College Humor?
Yes, College Humor got shafted though.
What happened with them?
They well, I mean, with the changes to YouTube, not to mention College Humor was one of those things where it started when YouTube wasn't a huge thing, and so they started the website not because they wanted to be YouTubers, but because they wanted to advertise their own College Humor website, which had their own videos and products and whatnot. That's how they made their money, and they eventually turned to YouTube once it was started to become apparent that they could profit more off of the YouTube fan base once it was growing. But the algorithm kind of started to screw them over, and they ended up being bought out by another by another company, like
That's why they got not funny.
and that's when they started to get a little not funny. But it was more like the kind of humor that was coming out into back when I said everything was kind of the Wild West and everyone was experimenting. They never really left that era. A lot of people would always make like haha like the Nyan Cat, or like Mario does drugs, right? Because he does mushrooms. There's like, what if Mario and Sonic fought in like their own game? Like they kind of stuck with that formula, and it just grew stale. And then when everyone else was growing out of that and was starting to try new things and hit new fads, they just kept going with it. I think right now College Humor consists of 3 people now, I think, total.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, they just never. It was like a relic of the past that just kept lingering. Now, I will say that one thing that was from the past, but hasn't necessarily grown a lot, but still feels like it's really good, is actually the Angry Video Game Nerd.
The Angry Video Game Nerd. That sounds familiar. Hold up.
Oh, I've seen everything the nerd has released. He started in 2004 and he's still going.
I remember Angry Joe.
Angry Joe's still going strong. I actually watched one of his videos yesterday. His Morbius review.
Is Angry Video Game Nerd done by Cinemassacre?
Yep, Cinemassacre's the company.
Okay. Let's see, who else from the old YouTube days? JonTron.
JonTron just released a video today, actually, I watched.
He barely makes any videos anymore, but I think that's
No,
fucking...
his production value's gone up significantly. That's part of the issue. But like I have every time I feel nostalgic, if I open up on the screen here, let's see. I just type in old YouTube videos playlist.
Let's see, who else is there?
Oh, this one. Me and Ellie would watch this on our Wii constantly.
PewDiePie.
Yeah, old PewDiePie. But the Mean Kitty song, I was thinking about this recently because they announced that this cat just died like last year.
No.
This is from what year? This is from 2007. And then what else is there? Charlie the Unicorn. Did you ever see that?
No, I did not.
Oh my God. You've never seen this. My sister basically based her entire personality off of this one video.
Sweets and joy and joyness.
Please stop bouncing on me.
She will quote this
Jesus
video
Christ.
every day. What else? What's a good one? Oh, I'm sure you've heard this before.
Hold on. It sounds familiar.
It was used in like every tutorial video in like the mid 2000s. Yeah, that's what I was talking about. First.
And then there was Nico Cotto Avocado. We got to see him go from skinny to fat. He changed so much. It was like his early content was vegan lifestyle, and it's him playing the violin, and now he's gained a significant amount of weight.
Significance, putting it very lightly.
God, what did he do?
I'm trying to find something
He
that's.
made OnlyFans.
Oh, that's right. Oh, you've had to have seen this video, right?
Hold up 1 second. Yes, I've seen this, I think.
Yes.
It's an internet classic.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm looking through right now. We have. Hold on.
Wait, so Nico Avocado.
Avocado, yeah.
Nico Cotto Avocado. God, his name is a fucking thing.
He was a vegan.
Suffered
Yeah.
in 2019 from a loss of libido and erectile dysfunction as a result of his binge eating. In 2021, he was disabled apparently. And when did he made an OnlyFans?
Yeah, I do remember he made an OnlyFans.
I've seen that clip before, and I didn't realize until just a couple months ago that was him, and I was like, oh god, that makes it so much more disturbing.
Of him playing like a violin or something, and then
No, I've seen that one. I'm talking about the OnlyFans clip right now.
have you seen this?
1 second.
You are on the way, but that Russia all your baby.
How is he in the top 0.15% of creators?
People just like to watch him eat himself to death.
I'm talking about OnlyFans.
Oh yeah, once again, it's like a train wreck. You can't look. It's like a train that's about to a derailed train. You just can't look away.
Paid for Nico Cotto Avocado's OnlyFans, so you don't have to. Oh, there's a lot of people who made those videos. I see like at least 3 different people who did the exact same fucking title. Well, we're kind of running out of topics here, and we've gone over an hour now.
Oh yeah, we're about there. I'm just looking through these old YouTube. I'm realizing how many of these could be copyright.
It's sad because that's another thing that was really sad. I actually wrote a paper about that early on in college, and just walking that line in between and the effect it was really having on small time content creators.
Right.
Copyright.
That's true, but that's just what happens when things become mainstream. You just have to start. I mean, YouTube came out during a gray period where the idea of using online media in that way was considered fair use, but like obviously you could just upload an entire new album and there's nothing people could do about it. Things like LimeWire were a huge deal. And eventually big companies realized, okay, with the internet you can't win anymore, right? Like as soon as a song releases, someone's going to download an MP3 on it on some website for basically no charge, right? Or no charge at all, literally, and with no effort. And so that's when they kind of had to integrate into things like Spotify, Apple Music, that sort of thing, right? Because I remember we would find MP3s online when I was a kid, and we would just burn them onto a CD.
Yeah.
We
No, that's
never
not a
paid for
thing.
music. No.
You could even find that stuff on YouTube. You could find whole movies on YouTube, and now like you can barely find any whole videos on YouTube. Like usually someone's been like, "Oh shit, we have the copyright for this. It's on there. We gotta take it off, and we gotta monetize it somehow." Or even worse, like they don't make it available at all,
Mm-hmm.
but they won't let anyone post it online. For
Right.
availability. Now the cases of the last one I mentioned are very rare. Usually, like at this point, even the really old content has been monetized somewhere.
Well, I mean, if your
But yeah.
channel is monetized, then your old stuff gets monetized as well. You just don't get any royalties from before it became monetized.
I guess.
I'm pretty sure that's how it works.
No, I think that is how it is, too. I wonder, does he live in the U.S.? He must live in the U.S.
Nikocado, yeah.
Yeah, he would be losing his mind. How is he the top 0.14% of creators?
You
On
said on
OnlyFans.
OnlyFans. Like I said, wait, didn't they like try to remove pornography from OnlyFans?
They did, and then they got blowback so fucking bad, they were like, oh shit, we
Right.
can't fucking do this. That is literally our fucking audience. I still, that was like a peak bad decision to make.
Right. It was
Like,
basically a retread of what happened to Tumblr.
Yeah, because Tumblr hasn't been the same since. I mean, there's still like memes and stuff, but it's really not the same.
I mean, the thing is, OnlyFans was started with the idea of being kind of like a Patreon type thing.
Yeah.
Right. It was like,
turned
but
into
then
sex.
people started using it for sex because of the way their terms of service worked. And
Yeah.
so once that became their primary audience, you can't really go back, right? You're going to lose
you
your
can't.
audience that you built up. And so you're kind of in a weird spot.
The point, yeah, and like at this point, like the term OnlyFans is synonymous with sex. Like,
Right. If I go up to
what
someone and say, "Hey,
advertiser's
I'm
gonna wanna
starting an
touch this?
OnlyFans," the first thing they're going to think of isn't, my quilt making business,
Yeah.
and that you get
Or
exclusive
your-
insights into it or like opportunities to purchase. It's like, no.
Yeah, I saw bullshit online about like, oh, it'll be like a way for people to get nice inside looks into celebrities' lives. Like,
Nope, he's showing his
No.
butthole.
no celebrity is gonna put themselves, at least not like no celebrity is gonna put themselves on OnlyFans unless they want to sell their body. Which there are celebrities that do that, but like,
Mhm.
there's not gonna be any celebrity that like puts themselves on OnlyFans to share like nice life tricks and tips. with people
Right.
and,
Not anymore
in a
because of
monetized
the
way.
association with it. I mean,
Yeah,
you're going
or,
to use like
like, so, like-
Patreon. You're going to use the very thing that they were trying to compete with.
Yeah, yeah.
Even Patreon does explicit things though, just not like in the similar
Not as
vein.
well as OnlyFans.
Well, OnlyFans more specifically caters to like, like pornography, while Patreon, it can be explicit, but it's not the same kind of explicit, I guess. Like people aren't going to have like live video of them. You can't do that.
Now you're making me want to take a look.
What if you
Yeah,
can
fucking
find steamy
Patreon.
things?
No, I'm not looking at for steamy things. I'm just interested to see like who the most popular people are on
Yeah.
Patreon.
I mean, Patreon is what OnlyFans wanted to be, which is like if you're a fan of a comic book or if you're a fan of a YouTuber, right? Like there's a lot of YouTubers who make up for their lack of
Revenue on YouTube.
revenue on
Yeah.
YouTube through Patreon, yeah. And they get exclusive benefits, access to a Discord and that sort of thing.
And Patreon in exchange takes a small little cut.
Something like that, but I mean, everything does that. That's just how online media services work. Steam does that. YouTube does that.
Sorry, I'm just looking at the stream options for couch votes, sound alerts, dynamic follow buttons. I didn't notice any of that was a thing.
Oh, on the stream.
Until just now, yeah.
The sound alerts one is not set up. I was actually going to try and get rid of it at some point.
Someday.
Couch votes, I don't even have anything open. I was going to like set something up for it, for like, especially for like the Bardcast, if there's like an unpopular opinion, but what else? Oh yeah, dynamic follow buttons. I only have myself because I don't really stream with anybody else.
We were going to I lost my train of thought when we were gonna finish D&D, and you were like, "We're definitely finishing it." and we never finished it.
I don't think I didn't try.
Oh, I know. Yeah. The day we fucking let her join.
Oh, really? We're starting that. We're opening Pandora's box here.
We are opening Pandora's box. If we're still gonna be in this stream for however long we're gonna talk about the fact that we never, ever should have added Mel in.
Yeah, we've had 16 people come in and out so far.
Yeah. Well, I hope for everyone who's watching, it's been entertaining.
Yeah.
I enjoyed myself shooting the shit.
It feels like the group got really big too. But yeah. I don't know. People lost interest. It wasn't just because like they'll join in, but because everybody's schedules got flipped upside down. And everyone got really busy for finals week, and then we tried getting things back together, but it was just too difficult to put to unring that bell.
That wasn't the problem. The problem was if you take out Mel, everyone's schedules matched in a reasonable way, and like playing D&D wasn't a once in a fucking lifetime event I shouldn't say once in a lifetime event, but like the stars had to fucking align like every couple weeks just for us to have like one session before Mel joined, and then after that
we were having it at least once a week. We at our peak we were even doing it more than once a week, but we stopped that because people were burning out. Yeah,
complicated. Well, specifically Riley was burning out, but yeah,
Riley was burning out too
because Riley had to put in all the effort, and like I think like Mel was all on his fucking ass about everything.
Right. No, I agree with that sentiment.
She's still like that. I don't know. Do you talk to her?
Mel's fine.
She seems like she's gone off the fucking...
No, she hasn't gone off the deep end or anything like that. I don't see anybody around here. Like, everybody...
You go harass them in their rooms.
Well, I've done it once, and then, like, it started to immediately turned, like, into a political circle jerk, and so I just had to leave, right? Like, that's just how it always is.
Rosario?
No, it was just... I mean, here's the thing, right? Like, Rosario is never at the house. He basically doesn't live here. He's with his girlfriend, right?
Yes. He doesn't like how dirty the house is.
Is that what it is?
Yes, that's exactly what it is.
He never said anything about that.
Yeah, because I love Rosario to death, and I always love him because he is one of my best friends. But the man cannot fucking communicate.
Yeah, that's...
And, like, tell people, hey, this is fucking annoying me to save his life.
Right. I think he was also sick of doing the dishes, which is fair. But I never used any of the dishes. I used paper.
Yeah, I know he's the only one who uses the dishes now.
Yeah, the...
It's not like before where it was like, oh... You and me both use the dishes. Now it's like, oh, buddy, you're the only one that uses it.
It felt like after you left, everybody was like talking each other in a circle. Like, hey, you need to do this, you need to do this, you need to do this, like in a circle until nothing got done.
That sounds about right.
Right.
The alpha male. I'm kidding. I can't say that.
See, it wouldn't feel so dirty. It wouldn't be so dirty if we had more than two places that like existed. One being the kitchen and like counter area, and then two being the dining room table.
Yeah.
And
to be fair, the dining room table just needs a sweep like, once every week or two. The problem is it gets a sweep like I guarantee you guys probably haven't swept it in months. We've swept it recently, but my big issue is that no one communicates with me. Like we switched up the way that the trash cans work now, and so no one ever told me about it. He hasn't communicated it to me, so I would like take the trash out, and the one trash bag would be gone out of the trash can the next day, or like it would be bagged, or like it would be overflowing for some reason. Right, because there was less now, and so I didn't know what I was supposed to do, and so I just let Hugh start taking it out. No one seems to like take out the recycling properly, and so I'm gonna have to do it tomorrow, or sorry, not tomorrow, the day after. And then I bring snacks like donuts and the whatnot, and I leave them out, and then like they'll just leave the empty
containers there, and I won't
Not
use.
throw 'em away. Yes.
Yeah, not throw them away, and then like there'll be
That's easy
crumbs
to know.
everywhere, and that sort of thing, and so the table's always dirty because of that.
Yeah, I wanted to strangle everyone all the time when I lived there.
See, I always felt guilty because I thought I was the one making every mess, but it was not even close. Now that you're gone, I realize how much of a mess like Hugh and Mel will make too.
Yeah.
Well, shit, that's about time for the Bardcast to be over. You want to play Left 4 Dead or something?
Yeah, that's the plan. I'm gonna take a quick break, step away from the computer. Then after that, we'll figure out what we're gonna do.
We're taking a break.
I hope you all enjoyed.
Well, I mean, you act like you're off for the night.
I mean, we're done with the podcast thing.
Right, we are.
Yeah, whatever this is going to evolve into, we're done with this for now. We're done with this for today.
Do you want to do Left 4 Dead, or you want to like take a break and do something else?
No, I'm probably interested in Left 4 Dead. I don't know if are you gonna stream it? I don't care personally if you do.
I mean, I don't have to. I don't know. I don't normally like do full streams on Sundays, but I missed yesterday because I had a bunch to do.
I don't care what you do. Either way, I'm gonna step away for probably like a decent amount of time. I need to eat.
Decent amount of time? What's a decent amount of time?
30 minutes to an hour.
30 to an hour, okay.
So probably enough to like stop the stream and then start it again.
I think the play should be we end the stream tonight and I just set this to YouTube and then we can just play on our own.
That's fine with me.
Alright, cool. So in that case, yes. Thank you.
See y'all later, folks.
See y'all later.
That's all.
Oh my lord.
That was how they did it. That was how.
That's all, folks.
That was how the little character did it in Looney Tunes.
Porky Pig.
Okay, we gotta end this before I go off on another tangent.
Okay,
Let's
okay.
really get it.
Yeah.
End the stream. End it now.
All right.